Happy New Year, everyone! So, as it was previously announced on the Workshop Blueprints Directive 2025, the next VVizard's Final Fantasy II character is none other than Shanoa from Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, developed as a collaboration with the ever-talented Ruby Knights. Shanoa has finally completed development, and we're ready to showcase her full moveset, as well as her brand new home stage. So without further ado, let's vanquish this horrible night!
I am the morning sun, come to vanquish this horrible night.
Yet another Castlevania character has become a VVizard's Final Frenzy star, and I can assure you, she won't be the last. Shanoa from Castlevania Order of Ecclesia has finally joined Rivals of Aether Workshop. But how did this project come to be, exactly? It was quite some time ago, back in 2021 actually. I remember seeing Ruby start playing Castlevania Order of Ecclesia on a friend's server on Discord, witnessing her enjoy the game more and more, especially Shanoa herself as a protagonist. She even sprited Shanoa in the Rivals of Aether style, and that's when we started to theorycraft how she could work in Rivals Workshop. Slowly but surely, we went through various drafts of her possible moveset and design. She was even part of the plan for the first VVizard's Final Frenzy at some point. However, due to conflicting schedules and life just getting in the way, Shanoa was cancelled, or to better put it, put on hold for a future opportunity. With the Final Frenzy not being final at all, that meant she could still happen in the future, and that's exactly what happened. With no hard deadline, we could work on her bit by bit, until eventually she reached the finalized state, and here we are today. Okay, all this talk about Shanoa and her game, but who is she exactly? For that history lesson, I'll lend the floor to Ruby Knights herself. Take it away!
Castlevania Order of Ecclesia was released in 2008 for Nintendo DS, not only being the final game of the DS trilogy, but to this day, the final game released in the Castlevania series. Players took control of series newcomer Shanoa, a member of the Order of Ecclesia, an organization who set out to destroy Dracula, with such a necessity being needed due to the disappearance of the Balamut clan years prior. Shanoa was then chosen as the vessel for Dominus, as to the powerful glyphs which would be used to destroy Dracula for his eventual return. However, before the ritual could be completed, Albus, a member of the Order, disrupted the ritual and stole the necessary glyphs, causing Shanoa to lose both her memories as well as her emotions. Shanoa is then tasked by Barlow, the Order's leader, to hunt down Albus and retrieve back those stolen glyphs. And that's where Shanoa's journey begins. Being the final game released for the main series, that meant Team Konami was firing on all cylinders. After various games with different mechanics and gameplay, Order of Ecclesia feels like the natural culmination of the series, honoring both the classic titles with a more linear and varied set of levels and locales, while also keeping the interconnected world and gameplay freedom from the later titles. It is a gorgeous game with a fantastic soundtrack, surprisingly deep narrative, and some of the best gameplay and combat of the entire series, with Shanoa being able to equip a variety of different glyphs at the same time. All of this solidifies this game as one of the greatest of the entire DS lineup, and even the Castlevania series as a whole. Despite only being in the last mainline title of the series, Shanoa quickly became like the main face of the Castlevania, later appearing in spin-offs like Castlevania Judgment, Harmony of Despair, and even Grimoire of Souls. Shanoa also appears prominently in various Castlevania crossovers, like Dead Cells, Vampire Survivors, and even her costume being featured in Dead by Daylight and V-Rising. Why don't we take a closer look at how Shanoa works in Rivals Workshop, and how her mini glyphs were translated to this new environment.
Unlike the bulk of Castlevania's playable cast, not only can Shanoa use a variety of different melee weapons, but she can also make use of various spells with unique effects due to her glyph mechanic. Just like in Order of Ecclesia, glyphs here can take many shapes and sizes, allowing Shanoa to keep on the offensive with fast attacks, powerful disjoints, and long-lasting projectiles and spells. She has the tools to play any way you desire. Shanoa has two main gimmicks, starting with the most straightforward one. Her down special uses the Glyph sleeve. This special move is actually 3 different attacks in one. Each time Shanoa uses down special, she cycles the Glyph sleeve forward, changing the next attack, as you can see on her HUD. This is based on the mechanic with the same name in Order of Ecclesia, where Shanoa can equip 3 different loadouts, allowing her to make use of different glyphs without having to go to the menu and manually change her build. This detail was the main inspiration behind the cyclic nature of this attack. But what are each of these glyphs, you may ask? The A glyph is Vol Grando. Shanoa throws a small projectile forward, which falls on its own, and if this projectile comes into contact with a surface or another player, it creates a series of icy shards, which trap anyone caught in this attack, and launches them for a potential follow-up. Next is the B glyph, the fiery Vol Ignis. Shanoa again throws a small projectile, and when it comes into contact with something, it creates a tall flaming pillar, dealing multiple hits to anyone caught amidst its flames. And finally, her C glyph is Gale. Unlike the previous two, Shanoa throws this wind projectile right away, flying forward and carrying anyone unlucky enough to be staying in front of her. Then the cycle repeats, going back to Vol Grando, then Vol Ignis, and so on and so forth. But that's not all for this special. In Order of Ecclesia, there's something called Glyph Unions, where if Shanoa equips 2 matching glyphs on each hand, she can combine said glyphs into a more powerful attack, uniting the special properties and elements of both combined glyphs. It works the exact same here. For Shanoa's forward strong, she swings a sword in front of her, with the sword changing element and property depending on the currently active glyph sleeve, meaning her forward strong can take 3 different forms. The A Union is an ice sword, being the beefiest version of the attack, but it's also the slowest overall. The B Union is a fire sword, dealing a lot of damage as it traps opponents with its potent multiple hits. And finally, for the C Union, Shanoa uses a wind sword. This is actually an original creation, since in Order of Ecclesia, if you mix a sword and a wind glyph, it instead creates a windy flurry, but in Rivals, to keep it consistent, she swings a windy sword. The move has very low knockback scaling, but to compensate, it's by far her fastest sword variant.
Now for Shanoa's primary mechanic, it's her neutral special Magnes. By using end special for the first time, Shanoa creates a move that just sits there, not really doing anything. If you use end special again, however, Shanoa will create a magical ring around herself, and you may notice that a similar ring also appears around the node. What do you think would happen if they were to connect together? Oh, Shanoa was pulled across the node. And then if you hold the direction and let go of special, Shanoa is locked in the opposite direction. This is exactly how this original mechanic works in the Order of Ecclesia. Shanoa can create a ring around herself and then magnetize these various nodes found throughout the game's levels. This became such an iconic part of Shanoa that it became part of her main mechanic in Harmony of Despair and Grimoire of Souls, where Shanoa can magnetize to these nodes and launch herself, either as a movement option, get away from threats, or even to chase down foes. And it works so badly like that here in Rivals. The nodes keep her main way of recovering, although keep in mind, the node despawns after a while, as well as if you stall too long on a node. It will even throw you automatically if you pick the direction when time runs out. You can also despawn it manually by pressing special and parry together. Keep an eye on your HUD so that you can be sure to know when you're able to create a new node, especially when you're recovering. For Shanoa's forward special, it's the Redire. Shanoa throws a giant boomerang-like projectile, first circling around herself, traveling forward, and deploying unknown to the end of its flight. This projectile can not only hit opponents multiple times, but aside from creating a node, the entire time, the projectile is carrying the node, meaning that Shanoa can magnetize with this very same projectile and fly alongside it. She can even launch herself during the same flight. This is an extremely versatile projectile, both in terms of its unique flight trajectory, but especially due to this added synergy with the Rivals mechanic. This versatility came straight from the Order of Ecclesia itself, Redire being a late game glyph which truly allows Shanoa to simply fly over the various levels with incredible precision and speed. It is one of the most fun tools in our game, and something we really wanted to include in the moveset. Now last but certainly not least, her art special is Ashia, or simply the classic axe throw. Just like her fellow Belmonts, Shanoa tosses the powerful axe upwards, which flies in the arc, which of course you can change the angle and trajectory. As you may expect, this is a very useful and reliable projectile, ideal for covering areas of the stage and especially punishing your opponents. This move even gives Shanoa a very small vertical boost when used in the air. This is no special after all. If you launch your axe and use neutral special, you'll notice that the axe has a Magnes ring of its own, meaning yeah, you can magnetize the axe to the node. This allows you to launch the axe again with incredible speed and power, but also using any desired angle. Now this is a bit versatile projectile. If you time the throw well enough, you can even toss a Redire and immediately an axe, carrying the axe forward with the Redire, granting you unheard of combos and conversions. Now you might be wondering, this is probably a thing in Order of Ecclesia as well, right? But no, this is actually a frenzy original. The initial idea was for our special to be Galacticus, aka granting Shanoa wings, giving her momentary flight. However, due to the Magnes and node combo already granting her quite a lot of movement and a valid recovery option, we set out to give her a different kind of special, one that could have some added synergy in itself, and the rest is history. I can confidently say we're very proud of how the same mechanic and idea turned out. Now before we get to her brand new home stage, I would like to highlight a couple more of her moves and details. But first, I'd like to thank the Frenzy team for keeping Shanoa alive even after we put her on ice. And thank you for being very patient. It's not easy making workshop characters and working a job. And now let's move it back to VVizard.
In Order of Ecclesia, Shanoa can use a variety of different physical glyphs, which take the form of classic melee weapons. Of course, she makes use of most of them here. Her jab uses the rapier glyphs Confundere, even being able to strike over and over, just like in her game. Her parry uses a shield glyph, Scutum. Her forward tilt uses Sekar, a sword glyph. Her up air uses a lance glyph, Asta, and yes, we even mimicked its absurd range. Finally, her forward air uses a scythe glyph, Vanquish. Actually, there is one more. For her back air, Shanoa stabs using a knife. However, to better showcase its power, the attack takes the form of her Union Confundere, the first glyph union acquired in her game, being a quick and powerful stab accompanied by rose petals. As mentioned before, Shanoa also makes use of less conventional glyphs, which take the form of spells of sorts. So we chose some of her most iconic ones to be featured in her moveset. Neutral air is Illuminatio, a versatile attack that creates 2 revolving orbs in her original game. Downstrong is Lepiste, more specifically, the Lepiste Union, where Shanoa creates 2 giant stone fists around herself before delivering a mighty punch. Now the fan favorite, we couldn't make Shanoa without including her most powerful glyph, Nitesco, a long-range multi-hitting beam. However, to make it more balanced in Rivals, she instead employs this attack as her upstrong, shooting it diagonally upwards. Finally is another fan favorite, the Cerberus heads, Dextrocustos and Sinestrocustos, as Shanoa's dash attack. Shanoa summons the first head for a stunning bite before comboing into the second head's bite, delivering a powerful blow. This animation, as well as some other ones, were inspired by Shanoa's appearance in Castlevania Judgment, the arena-based Castlevania fighting game, so it was quite fitting. As has become tradition now, being an Igavania protagonist, Shanoa of course sports the classic slide as her down tilt, as well as the dive kick for her down air. This dive kick is able to spike opponents as well as bounce off various projectiles and objects, including Shanoa's very own node. And lastly, we have Shanoa's up tilt, which is a kick of sorts. Do you know what this might be referencing? Shanoa can equip and use a couple specific glyphs which fully transform her body, like a werecat, a small automaton, and a werebat. These transformations bring unique animations, properties, and attacks, one of them being an upwards kick performed by her werebat transformation. This seemed quite fitting for an up tilt, wouldn't you say? Many of Shanoa's animations from Order of Ecclesia have been beautifully recreated here in Rivals. From her idle with her hair flowing in the wind, her dash animation, her jump animations, her rolls being based on her backdash, and most importantly, her taunt. It's not your usual taunt. This animation is instead based on the same animation Shanoa uses when absorbing Glyphs in Order of Ecclesia. It's such an iconic animation to the character, we had to add it here, making it look and sound as faithful as possible. Another reference is Shanoa's revival platform. At first, we wanted to make a revival platform based on the save statues from Order of Ecclesia. However, we went with the Dominus statue instead. This may seem kind of odd. An object that caused Shanoa so much torment and pain being her revival platform? Well, this same statue also marked the beginning of Shanoa's journey of self-discovery, and it even served as a symbol of her finally breaking out of her metaphorical chains, so I think it works as a symbol of her revival. As usual, Shanoa has her very own voice mode, in 2 versions this time. You can either pick from her English or Japanese voice from Order of Ecclesia. Both of them contain unique grunts when attacking or getting hit, as well as appropriate callouts when performing certain moves. Another detail you might be wondering, why are all of her weapon glyphs red? They don't look like that in Order of Ecclesia or her other appearances. Well, my dear viewer, she is heavily associated with red and orange weapon glyphs in various official artworks, so we decided to reference that in her appearance here. This also sets her apart a bit more, making her physical glyphs look more consistent between each other, as well as reference the fact they're not conventional melee weapons. On this topic, the fact that even her axe is red threw off a lot of people when we first teased her in Gurgoth's trailer. Getting into the trailer, the intro is quite simple, as we see various frenzy villains indulge in the endless, terrible night, before Shanoa shows up, delivering her iconic line, "I am the morning sun, come to vanquish this horrible night," which in itself is a reference to Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. And to close things off, her unique splash screen artwork was drawn by our frenzy friend Rabbids. The artwork itself is based on the opening intro to Order of Ecclesia, with Shanoa deep in thought and determination, her hair flowing in front of the moonlit sky, alongside the ever-present moon, lending itself to such a unique drawing. Magnificent! Hey folks, Vivi here! Unfortunately, I couldn't do much about the whole vanquishing the horrible night thing. You see those clouds? I suppose I should talk about those. After all, I helped out once again to produce a stage for this collaboration, Kalidus Channel. There really isn't another Castlevania level quite like it. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to celebrate its unique aesthetic that I fell in love with as I played the original game. Speaking of, in Order of Ecclesia, Kalidus Channel is one of the earliest locations Shanoa travels to. Faced with a permanently ravaging storm at sea, which had surely sunken countless ships before it, and dozens of aggressive sea monsters ready to tear her apart, Shanoa defiantly passes through, undeterred by any threat. After all, with Albus having run off with the Dominus Glyphs towards Monera Prison Island, a few waves pose little threat compared to the potential fate of Dracula's reawakening. She returns to the area shortly after defeating the massive monster in the lighthouse, gaining the ability to navigate the water freely, and explores the depths of this sea. Here in Rivals, Kalidus Channel as a stage is based on its initial route. Fighting on a thin strip of paved land, the tempestuous sea causes the land, and often the fighters themselves, to become totally submerged. The main set piece is the massive ghost ship in the background, rocking violently back and forth against the waves, sure to capsize at any moment. The various wave effects were also recreated to the best of my ability while translated into Rivals style. Although water is purely aesthetic towards the fighters, taking somewhat after Super Smash Bros. Melee's water, the effects of it actually influence nearby debris. Like the original level, crates and logs serve as platforms that move with the ocean, and will actually bob if you land on them. They're even slightly influenced by a fighter's weight. In addition to the more chaotic layout change, the Aether form sports some guest enemies. Rising from the depths, sea urchin-like needles pose a pokey, stationary threat that fighters can get caught in. Additionally, sea stingers, some kind of aggressive fish beast, will take aim towards fighters and jump out of the water to fly after them, stabbing with its wretched snout. You can take out either type of enemy with a simple attack, in a rather brutal fashion, I'll add, though another beast is inevitable to show up to replace it. Though, note how both creatures are predictable with how they attack. Perhaps you can find a way to take advantage of that. For music this time around, this marks the first time a Final Fantasy Castlevania stage has gotten the full song list based on only one title. After all, Order of Ecclesia's soundtrack is a favorite among the whole crew, and we couldn't take this opportunity for granted. Several tracks use the original renditions from Order of Ecclesia, of course being Kalidus Channel's level theme, A Crashing of Waves, alongside Sorrow's Distortion and Lament to the Master. 4 tracks are from Vampire Survivors, with 3 arrangements by Keygen Church, being Wandering the Crystal Blue, Jaws of a Scorched Earth, and Chapel Hidden in Smoke, and an arrangement of Ebony Wings by the Noble Demon. Finally, arguably the theme of Shanoa, an empty tone returns from Castlevania Judgment, also making for this song in her new trailer and as her victory music. With that, we close yet another presentation, starting 2026 off with a bang. Hopefully we can continue with a consistent release schedule all throughout the year. As for Shanoa and Order of Ecclesia, I truly love both of them, and I am so very happy to be able to finally represent this wonderful game and fantastic character here in Rivals Workshop. Order of Ecclesia is easily one of my favorite games in the Castlevania series. It's a game I can always go back to and have a great time with it, as well as being a game which, every single time, manages to make me shed a tear due to Shanoa's fascinating journey and character arc. It truly is that special. For Shanoa here in Rivals, we tried to make her feel as versatile and capable as she is in her own game, using a variety of different weapons, unique effects, and most importantly, specific tools that represent the uniqueness of her game as well as her character, like the Glyph sleeves, Glyph unions, and especially the Magnes mechanic. I'd say we did a great job with this representation. So of course, I would like to thank everyone involved in this project. Major thanks to Ruby Knights. It was an honor to collaborate with one of the most talented and brilliant workshop creators in this community, and you truly brought Shanoa to life with each of her incredible animations. Thank you so much! Additional thanks as well to VVizard, our Final Frenzy super heroine, once again doing a fantastic job in both Shanoa's CPU AI and especially Shanoa's home stage, being yet another fantastic level with unique attributes and elements. And thanks as well to Rabbids for their incredible work on Shanoa's outstanding artwork. So I'd say that's all. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope the wait has been worth it. Shanoa and her home stage should be available right now. So for now, I thank you all for watching, and for joining us in this Final Frenzy project. And here's hoping the next few projects won't take as long. Hopefully. So with that, I bid you all farewell, and until next time.